Mr. John Berry, would you like to come up and address the crowd?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Show of hands, who here has been to Camp Ashland before? Who hasn't? Okay, so just a few. Let me take you back about 20 years. 20 years before I retired as lieutenant colonel from being battalion commander out here. Many not so enjoyable moments on this stage listening to a bunch of general officers speak before we commissioned the lieutenants. The generals who had nothing to do with it came up here and talked, and then we saw these young NCOs who became officer candidates become officers. 20 years before that, I'm headed to Fort Benning, Georgia for the first time in my life. My dad was in Fort Benning before he went to Vietnam, and so we arrived there together on July 5th. My first day of active duty is going to be July 6th. So my dad takes me to the officers club. We head into the O Club, we order a meal, and we're standing around. There's a special forces colonel at the bar. So my dad goes up and talks to him, and those of you that know my dad's history know his connection to the Green Berets. Short story is, he defended the commander of the 5th Special Forces in Vietnam because he was charged with murder for killing the enemy at the direction of the CIA. So they had a nice conversation. And at the end of this conversation, my dad leaned over to him and said, "Look, tomorrow's my son's first day as an active duty infantry officer. What advice do you have for him?" And the old colonel kind of looked at his drink for a while and said, "Risks. Take risks. Leaders take risks. You do not take stupid risks. You do not take uncalculated risks. But to save your team in the worst of moments, you must take risks." Now, I know some of you are like, "Oh, a safety brief." My safety briefs are unlike any safety brief you'll hear. This is not your draw or your risk assessment worksheet that nobody pays attention to. Because here's the thing about safety. Does anybody here really believe we can keep our kids safe? No. We can raise them to be strong, but you cannot raise your children to be safe. When we train in anything in the military, can we really ever make the training safe? Uh-oh. So we can make our training smart, but we can't make it safe. And the reality is, we can't even keep our country safe. No nation can. And that is why we have you. That's why we have the military, to keep everyone else safe. And now our greatest resource, the country's greatest resource, is sitting right here in this room. The United States military veteran. Our greatest asset. The people who actually raise their hand to stand for something. All in this room. So I want to ask you to do a few things. First thing is, you're all combat veterans. Each and every one of you knows a veteran that has a disability, and they're not getting compensated by the VA. Maybe they filed the paperwork and they got denied, or maybe they just didn't want to file it. Encourage them to file it for their families. Look, secret, and I'm only 46, but the disabilities, they don't get any better as you get older. So encourage them to do that, and if the VA doesn't treat them fairly, encourage them to appeal. And if that doesn't work, call us. The second thing, look, we all know that when you ride a bike, it's not a matter of if you will lay it down, it is when. And when that happens, your insurance company and the other insurance company are not going to treat you fairly. That is their business model. That is just reality. And so even though you pay your premiums all the time, what's going to happen is there's going to be an accident, and God forbid you're injured. They're not going to want to give you the amount of money they're supposed to give you. Don't take no for an answer. You've got to think about yourselves, but more importantly, you got to think about your families. Third thing is this. Keep doing what you are doing. Look, we represented thousands of veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, and the one common thread I can find is that for most of them during deployment, they were absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever, even after the traumatic event, because they had their team. And their team stuck by them. And then they came back. And what happens when you come back from deployment or come off active duty? The team is gone, right? But you all have a team right here with a purpose and a mission. There are people in this room right now who considered committing suicide. But because you're here, some of you here were there for them. That didn't happen. And when I say some of you here, I deployed with some of you here. So, and some of you know, and I found this out when I was a battalion commander, that 2 of our soldiers committed suicide. And I wished I had done more. And we all know what that regret feels like. And I want to tell you, with this organization that's growing rapidly and helping veterans, failure is okay. I was talking to Doug about a lot of things you guys are doing. Great. Some of it will work, some of it will not. Failure you can live with. Regret you cannot. And growing this organization helps our nation's most important asset, the American veteran. And it's strange to me, and I go back to the VA stuff, because we have all these government programs to give all sorts of people all kind of benefits, and we're not taking care of the people who protected our country. Look, that is fucking disgusting. So, what do I want you to do about it? I want you to keep growing your organization. I want you to have a strong presence. We got cameras here. You want to know why? Because I want the world to know. And a lot of times people will say, well, I want to keep this private. We don't want people. No, the thing is, if people don't know you exist, you're not going to be able to help them. And you can go out and you can try to reach out to as many people as you can, and hopefully you're doing that, but you got to amplify it. You have to amplify the message. Let veterans know that you're here to help. Because there are veterans that need your help more than ever, especially with COVID, as things get locked down. And I find it completely ironic that when we deployed, guess what? They stuck us with a needle. They had us wear masks. Remember, those are some serious protective masks. And you know what? When they sent us outside the wire, we didn't say, oh man, there might be a chemical attack. Oh, you know what? There's bullets. The enemy's shooting. There's IEDs. Did that stop the mission? No, right? But you have politicians who have never served, who will shut things down, and who suffers? The veterans who need that sense of community. So please, 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 keep doing what you're doing. Now, look, this is a little bit prettier than a rucksack, okay? Actually, it's the new gender-neutral rucksack of the military, right? Where we've changed, right? So, but I want to talk about some of the things in here. Look, there's a pen in here somewhere and a notebook, right? A book. Everybody ever been a squad leader before? Remember a little squad leader book, these little books you carry around? Look, if you get in an accident, have the book, write the important stuff down. If you want more information on that, we can talk to you about it. But be prepared. Like I said, you can't be safe, but you can be smart. You can be prepared. The other things that we have in here, some interesting things for you. Right, like a little wallet thing to put on your cell phone, right? If you're going through a tough time, have a number of a buddy in there. I know we say, oh, whoa, I got the number on my cell phone, right? What happens when your phone dies? Right? because all of us at some point need help. There's nothing wrong with reaching out, but the key is to have that information there. The VA denies you, here's a book. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and more importantly, give you some stories of some veterans who are very successful when the VA denied their initial claims. And some of them had to fight for years, but they got what they earned. The last thing is this, and I guess we're doing a raffle for these, and these are in some of them, they're not. And it's pretty cool when you wear your vest because you get the crossed rifles on one side and the American flag on the other. I was disappointed when one of my kids was dress coded for wearing a shirt with a crossed rifles, but maybe it was for the American flag, I don't know. But I want to tell you the story of this shirt because many people don't know. Does anybody know who created the company Grunt Style? A veteran, Daniel Alric, a drill sergeant, infantry drill sergeant. And so 4 or 5 years ago, when I was looking at building Barry Law, I really liked what Grunt Style was doing for veterans. I really liked the message. I went down to San Antonio and I met him. And he spent a couple hours talking to me. And then I went back again later. 2 years later, we did a little video talking. But here's the deal. He was very generous with his time. He wanted to help me. He told me, John, you need to amplify this message. This is important. We need to help our veterans. And that was the story behind why he started the company. And then there are some things that happened within the company, and I hired him to work for us for 6 months, right, to help us build a better platform to serve veterans. Look, I'm not here to motivate you. I don't believe, in all my years, going through every military school and hearing drill sergeants yell at people, I can't motivate you. Nobody can motivate you. But your team can elevate you as long as you have that mission and that purpose. And here's the thing, as we get older, most people who get old die, not from old age, but because they run out of relationships, they run out of financial resources, but most important, they run out of purpose. And we've all seen that, you know who I'm talking about, the person who was in the military forever, that senior NCO, stayed on as long as they could, they retired, and then shortly after they died. Why? They had no purpose. You have the gift of having a purpose. I'm asking you to reach out to your brothers and sisters. What you do is important. Yeah, there's risk in it. That's great, though. It makes some veterans feel alive. Veterans that have disabilities, they can't run like they used to. They can't play sports like they used to. Some can still get on a bike, and they need that. But they need more than that, they need the camaraderie. They need your organization to hold them up, to let them know they're part of a team, to let them know that their service mattered, and to let them know that there are people who will not let them down. I think of how we treated our Vietnam veterans when they came back. We let them down. We absolutely failed as a country, as a nation. And, a lot of them had a difficult time finding their way. They were kicked out, they tried to go to the American Legion. They said, no, we don't want you here. The World War II vets, Korean War vets didn't like them. And so they were kind of a lost generation. We don't have that problem today. Now, I've heard that something like 80% of veterans are not affiliated. That's sad. In America, we worry about what everybody cares about. But in this last election, I didn't hear anything about what the veterans care about. And that's sad. And that needs to change. But it all starts here with your group, building it into a better group. You've got some great leadership. What you do matters. And look, just because you took the uniform off, you're not done serving. Did anyone say, oh, you're retired, that's great, I'm going to release you from your oath? Everybody remember that oath you took? No one released you from that oath. You still carry the burden of that oath. You still carry the purpose of that oath. But you also carry the camaraderie of that oath. Never forget that. And honor each other every day. And please, you all know somebody who's not in this group, who should be in this group? Please reach out to them and get that person into this group. Thank you.